Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
As the Star Wars Rebels character HERA SYNDULLA awaits for her live-action premiere in the Ahsoka show, the actress behind the beloved Star Wars pilot revealed what changes fans can expect from the character. With HERA and the rest of the Ghost crew set to appear in the upcoming Disney Plus show, the fan favorite Twi'lek will have a new look, with the Birds of Prey actress Mary Elizabeth Winstead stepping up into that role for the live-action version of HERA. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is taking over for her voice actor Vanessa Marshall as well, who has been supportive of the live-action HERA SYNDULLA actress. Marshall remarked upon Winstead's reveal as that character that she is so excited to watch this with her, and sharing it to her social medias, showing the love for the Ahsoka cast and what they will be bringing to these celebrated characters. And so, as part of a recent interview recently with Entertainment Weekly, HERA SYNDULLA actress Mary Elizabeth Winstead described how the character has changed since fans last saw her in Star Wars Rebels. It should be noted that Star Wars Rebels takes place before the events of the original trilogy and really the main galactic civil war, and that when we're seeing her in the Ahsoka show, that's taking place alongside with the rest of the Mandoverse, the Mandalorian seasons, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, and the Book of Boba Fett. Those are all taking place after the events of the original trilogy and the galactic civil war, so some time has passed. Winston noted that the biggest distinction between Ahsoka's HERA and the version featured in Rebels as the animated show is that this older iteration is something of a legend in her own right, and is now even more of a maternal leader of the overall crew. Mary Elizabeth Winstead saying that in full quote with Entertainment Weekly, quote, "I see HERA as an incredibly strong but complicated person. She is very maternal, but also she's this leader of this crew, and as we see, she continues and becomes a general, and so she's leading quite a lot of people, and she's becoming something of a legend in her own right," ending that quote right there. And so also in that same quote, Mary Elizabeth Winstead says and describes that her character is very soft and warm, saying that in full quote with Entertainment Weekly, quote, "She's also very soft and warm, and people come to her for advice and solace and comfort. Seeing those things combined is very unusual, and something that I really wanted to play on screen, because that's such a aspirational thing. I think as a woman, or just an in general person, to be able to be all of those things in one is really quite something," ending that quote right there. I think the best way to kind of describe this, honestly, kind of that vibe that I'm getting from this, the way that this version of HERA is being described, essentially, is something honestly very similar to the way that how we see Rosario Dawson portraying Ahsoka in live action. She's almost like a mother-like character. She seems very wise, and she's at the same time soft and warm, has a soft and warm type of fuzzy feeling, a mother-like feeling at that, but at the same time, people would come to her for advice. We see Luke Skywalker coming to Ahsoka for advice in the Book of Boba Fett, and I think that we're going to have that same vibe for HERA in the Ahsoka show. However, also according to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, that does not mean her Star Wars character is absolutely perfect in the same sense, saying that in quote, "She's certainly not perfect, but she does have all of those qualities that make her somebody that you can really look up to in a way, and I like to try to be that on film. I don't know that I quite live up to that in reality, of course, but it's something to try, and I try to reach for," ending that quote right there. Of course, also having those imperfections, of course, talking about those less qualities, essentially, in an overall character as well. Of course, hopefully, a character that's perfect is boring, and to see that maybe not happen in the Ahsoka show would be really pleasant, really nice, and it's something that does make an overall character interesting overall here, to see them struggle, to see them grow for another thing at the same time. They're going to have their flaws. I think the best way to compare that to, in universe and to another Star Wars character, would have to be Yoda. Yoda seems absolutely perfect in skills, force, he seems so masterful and so wise, of course, but he is honestly, to a point, the direct blame for the downfall of the overall Republic and the Jedi Order, because he was so blinded by Anakin Skywalker and Palpatine routine and everything like that. That being said, when comparing Hera to another character in the Star Wars universe, these characters may be meant out to be perfect, or perfect-like essentially, but they're going to have those less qualities, and that's something that we are going to see for the overall Ahsoka show here. The Ahsoka star, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, also has said that playing a character that already exists in canon is quite incredible, as she can dive into the storylines and the complex histories with everyone in their life and relationships, instead of filling in the blanks for herself, saying that in full quote, having a character who's already existed and has such a rich history on something like Rebels, as an actor, it's incredible, because sometimes we're tasked with creating our own backstories, or trying to flesh out a character that doesn't really have that much on the page, and so to play a character that has all of the season after season of storylines and complex histories with everyone in their life and relationships and experiences was really something I've never experienced quite like that. Ending that quote right there, it is very interesting that she does mention that, because she looks at it from a positive perspective. I feel like every other time that we've seen an iteration of a character, for example, being brought from the animation world like Clone Wars or from Rebels, and seeing that character brought into live action, I feel like the actors to a point will normally kind of complain about it and say it's not the best thing, or vice versa, that the fans will also complain about it. But having Mary Elizabeth point out the bright side of that, seeing that you don't have to necessarily fill in the blanks or anything like that, you're able to kind of just expand on top of it, that's a blessing to a point. In comparison, it's kind of like re-explaining the Spider-Man origin story. When there's already been 3 reboots of that character, we know his origin story, so why tell it again, essentially? Mary Elizabeth Winstead had also added that having Rebels and creator Dave Filoni on set was a luxury for that reason, saying that in full quote, to have Rebels to refer to, and to have the Rebels and Ahsoka creator Dave Filoni to speak to about it every day on set was a real luxury for sure. Ending that quote right there, Dave Filoni comes through, he's gonna make it easy, he's gonna make it fun at that. It's what it's supposed to be. So this here really all being said, what's the main difference between Ahsoka and the Star Wars Rebels? For the most part, Ahsoka and Rebels share a lot of connective tissue. The upcoming streaming show has already basically been called a quote-unquote continuation of that Rebels story. But really, just because Ahsoka will be a de facto Rebel Season 5 to a point, there are still going to be some major differences, of course. Time has obviously passed by the time Ahsoka rolls around, with much of Rebels, aside from its cliffhanger epilogue, taking place before the events of A New Hope. So these characters will be a little bit older, having lived their lives since fans had last saw them. This is demonstrated in Hera becoming a general, and as described by star Mary Elizabeth Winstead, of course. And the biggest difference will come as new actors take on some of these iconic Rebels characters, while some familiar faces will continue on with their parts from the Disney XD animated show, others will be reimagined as new actors step in for the Ahsoka show. These new stars will bring about familiar feelings, but ultimately different interpretations of the beloved Ghost crew for the Ahsoka show. This here all being said, what do you think about it? What do you make of it? And what do you want to see with the Ahsoka show coming out later this year, only on Disney Plus, streaming this August? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and everything that we had discussed here in today's video. And until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. This has been Unofficial Star Wars. Peace out.